I hope you noticed that the recording for the last class was uploaded and is available on YouTube, and also the source code from last class was uploaded moments after the end of our class. So, hey, anybody have any questions for review?
Can you go over challenge activity 8.14.1?
I would love to. Okay, so let me set that up and then I'll share my screen. 8.14.1. Okay, 8.14.1. Okay, let me get to 14.1. All right. All right, now I'll share the screen. Find the right button. Okay. Thank you, Fredo. I love you too. Okay. So write a loop that prints each country's population in the dictionary called country pop. That's just like K-pop, but without being tied to Korea. Okay, country pop. All right, so let's take a look at the code that's here. So there's going to be a big string of data imported, and then it's for each, the string is going to be split up. And then for each pair of entries in the list, it's going to be split again. So notice in the input, this is kind of interesting. It needs to be split twice. So look here and notice there's two delimiters. One is the comma, and that's being used for the first split. So that means entries will be the strings China with that, followed by India and that, followed by United States and that, and so on. So by the time you get here, the first split has taken place. So the second split is for each one of these country population pairs, where we're going to split on the colon. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. So when we get here, we're actually putting in to the dictionary a key, which is taken from the country, and the value, which is the population. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, is that good for everybody? All right, so now they want the list of what was in that dictionary. So the first set of code was reading in the string. Second set of code, the middle set of code is creating the dictionary. Now this third set of code is going to be us printing out the dictionary. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. The first way that I'll show you is the way that this chapter begins with. So I'm going to scroll to the top, and I'm going to look here. Okay, so this is going to be, that's what I want to draw your attention to. So now dictionary is keys and values, right? So here is the keys will go into soda one at a time, and the value will go into calories one at a time. The only only tricky part here is that it's going to be the dictionary dot items. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to show you using this strategy. But let's go down here and say, click in it for country, comma, pop. And I'm choosing those variable names because they're given to me down here. In country pop dot items. And I think items is actually a function. Let me just check that. Yes, it is. Okay, and that would be one solution. Let's see if it works. Okay, good. Let's take a look at using a different approach. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, was it Lydia that my black boxes moved around? Lydia, is that do it for you?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, good. And let me stop sharing for a moment. I want to make sure I've got Mary marked present, and then I'll start sharing again. Good. All right. And now let me start sharing again. All right, now let's take a look at a different way of doing it. What if we had instead used keys? And I'll have to do some fudging here because this is going to give me country, but it doesn't give me pop. And that would be, okay, good. That would be gotten in this way, equals country pop. Which country? Well, this one. Okay, so which way to do this? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. All right. Now, interestingly, there was a third box up at the top here. Oh, that's just with values. And we couldn't get this. This is an interesting one. I'm trying to move Zoom out of the way. Using this approach where we're going to enumerate the values, that can't get us back to country. So we're not going to explore this at all. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, let me go back to the attendance and indicate that Sam is here. Hold on.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I'm late.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad you're here. Where did my browser go? Okay, there it is. Okay. Let the record show Sam is here. Sam is in the house. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
We could start. I'm here.
What's that?
I was joking. I said we could start. I'm here.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I tell you're only late to class if you come in after the instructor. So the instructor is never late. Okay. Anybody have any more questions?
I was having some trouble with the code we wrote last class. I followed along and everything, and it wouldn't run. I was getting error messages, and so I copied and pasted yours, and I'm still getting error messages. I think it might have something to do with the matplotlib importing. I emailed you the error message right before class, asking what was wrong. So
Let me
if
take
you
a
wouldn't
peek.
mind looking.
Okay, so I'm taking a peek now.
Okay.
And right, so the it looks like you're correct that the error has to do with matplotlib.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to sanitize your screen and share your desktop?
Oh yeah, sure.
And we'll do some tests.
Okay. Share screen. I think. Hold on. Step 1. Oh, I have to like go to my settings. Hold on.
I have a Macintosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see, I could tell. It's trying to prevent you from getting your work done.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Oh, there we go. Click it.
Yeah, so. Okay, that's switch. But that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so I think we temporarily lost Elena. And that would be natural because she'd have to exit Zoom and come back in.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry, it kicked me off. Let me
Yep.
try. Share screen. Okay.
okay. So I assume that this code is the same code that you pasted,
Mhm.
copied and pasted. All right.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
I can do that.
Okay. So Elena, in your terminal, can you type in Python 3 and hit return?
I can do that.
Okay, now say import matplotlib.
Like you can talk about our.
Okay, good. So quit, QUIT parentheses,
Okay.
and type in pip3, pip3 space, install
No.
space, matplotlib. Let's,
Like that.
okay, hit enter, yep. So requirement already satisfied. All right, so it's saying that matplotlib is installed,
Okay.
but perhaps we are running the wrong. Well, no, it says, you see, it says matplotlib somewhere in that big string is 3.10. Now type in Python 3 space dash version, no spaces. And it should say Python, no
Wait,
space.
no space here.
No, after the 3 comes 1 space
Okay, then space
and then
space.
dash version. And I said it real fast, so you, okay, go ahead. 3.10. All right, could you scroll up in your window and we'll just take it. This is no, scroll up in the terminal window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is not working out here. Let's see. No, just stop.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, can you scroll down? Okay, pillow is there. I was looking for that. Well, Elena, I don't have an answer for you.
Okay, I'll try.
This isn't an easy one to diagnose.
Okay.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying that an awful lot is going wrong. Can you look at, let's just take a quick look at your code and go to the very top. From matplotlib, import pyplot as PLT. That's correct. All right, I'm afraid I can't diagnose this problem
Okay.
without spending a good deal more time.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping.
Well, I tried. Vincent, did you have a question?
So how many programming assignments do we have left to do, actually?
I think I answered that question to you via email.
Oh, yeah.
So basically,
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
we took
Okay, and I'm willing to repeat the answer if anyone else wants to know. Joe says, sure, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, there won't be any more programming assignments after this last one, which I hope that you submit. Also, please do submit any that you have not submitted. Okay? We are cruising towards summer. And why spoil it? Okay, anybody have any other questions?
I have
Okay.
another one. When
No,
is the,
Vincent, please give me a moment. I'm reading a question that's in the
oh,
chat.
yep, go ahead.
So Chris, do you want to share your question with the class and maybe show your screen and see if we can't diagnose that?
Yes, sir. So, it's like it works, but I don't see like a graph. I'll share my screen.
All right.
All right. Is it showing?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. When I click run, it just prompts this up here. Do I have to click
Okay.
this or something?
Yeah, so it runs and produces no output.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you scroll to the bottom of your code? Okay.
The plt.x sticks is wrong. It should be x ticks.
Uh-huh. Interesting that he didn't. Oh, and also, are you giving it a data file?
I don't think I am. I don't know how would I do that?
Okay, well, click into the terminal. Use your up arrow once. Did it do anything? Okay, now then space. Oh, let's see, coding notes. And I'm looking someplace else on the screen. Okay, it looks like you have goal.cvs.csv. You're covering all the bases. So type that in, goal.cvs.csv into the
That's
terminal.
yes, sir. So gold.csv.
No, well, you've got it twice. You've got cvs.csv.
Oh, yeah. Like this.
Okay, try that. Hit enter. All right, that's confusing. Coding notes. Let's see. This is new assignment. Dot PY. Now, did you copy and paste this code? Because there was the X sticks, so maybe there's some other errors somewhere?
I can copy and paste it and then come back to you about it.
Yeah, okay, that would be good, before we get moving on to the, additional teaching.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't answer your question immediately, but we need some more info. Let's see, Vincent, did you have a second question?
When is our final exam actually?
Okay,
uh,
why don't we talk about that? We have two choices. One is to have the final exam during the scheduled final exam block. The second choice is we can have a final exam in the last meeting of the class. So the advantage of the last meeting of the class is it's one less final that you have to worry about in your finals week. Now, the advantage of doing it in the finals week is that you'll get more time. So what are people's thoughts? Siobhan has indicated a preference for last class. I could do it either way. And I'm sure, well, let me just finish that sentence. I can do it either way because I'm sure that you will have enough time, even if we do it during the exam during the last class. So does anyone object to doing it in the last class, given my promise that you'll have enough time?
If the last class is Friday the 13th, I won't be able to do it then because people are getting married. But
People are? Do you know them?
I thought you were going to say because it's
not
bad luck.
exactly. But
Wait, the last class is on Friday the 13th? What a coincidence.
Yeah, let's check that. I mean, I have no doubt that it's true, but just want to see it for myself. Yeah, Friday the 13th is the last class.
Cool.
All right.
That's cool. I can't find a word. I can't find a good word to like it. That's like a well, never mind.
Okay. All right. So Mary won't be able to make it to the last class. Mary, would you be able to take it a day later, maybe?
yeah, that would work.
Okay. All right. So I'll make that opportunity available for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like, let me just ask one more time. Does anyone have any objections to doing it during the last class?
Um,
Okay. Okay, so we'll do it in the last class. That means that, oh, Zoom, why do you always move around? That means Wednesday, the 11th will be review day.
okay. Wednesday.
Everybody got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me write it down here.
So as I did with the midterm, I'm suggesting that you review the midterm or the practice test that came before it, which I don't think is visible anymore. So do review that in preparation for our review day. On the review day, which is scheduled for the May 11th, I'll respond to your questions. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any other questions or things to talk about?
Oh, that's all the questions I have.
Okay. Let's see, I remember reading that somebody in this class was part of a Carthage sports team that achieved something notable. Is that anyone, am I remembering correctly?
I think that might be me.
Okay, Zach, do you want to tell us about the achievement?
Yeah, we won our second straight national championship this last weekend.
Outstanding. Yeah, that is a big deal.
Thank you.
Okay. Were you on the team last year as well?
Yeah, I was on the team last year when we went to Virginia, so I was a part of both, which is really awesome.
Wow, that is awesome. That's going to be something that you can tell your grandkids about.
Oh yeah, and I'll have a bunch of cool plaques to show them.
Good, good, good. We're happy for you and for Carthage. Okay, so last class, we were looking at code that was reading a pretty long 800 plus row, more than 800 rows of data for gold. And we put together a nice little graph. The graph had some problems though. Does anybody remember what the problem was first off?
The data, there was so much data on the x-axis that it just created a black line unless you zoomed in really close.
Right, and even then, when you zoomed in really close, it was still hard to read. So do you recall what the last step we took was to try and address that problem?
Was it the rotation?
Yes, we tried rotating the text so that hopefully by rotating it at the 45, we hopefully we would have allowed enough space between the lines of text. Oh, it's a 3D movie. Yeah. Okay. So between the lines of text to be able to read it, but that really didn't help much because there are just that many. There are so many. So I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open up the right directory and I'm going to share my screen. Here's Gold V1. That's what I named it so that I could do a version 2. And let's take a look at what it looks like. Python 3, Gold V1, and then gold.csv. Ew, Icarino. You can't see it. That's right. I remember now that when matplotlib opens up, it's opening up a different window. So there you go. Now you can see it. And this is the problem we're trying to address. All of this big mess down at the bottom. And we know that it's actually the correct, what's going on down there is correct, because if we zoom way in, we can see all the items, all the text is correct, but not if we start zooming out. All right. Now, if we were using just a numerical legend on the bottom of the screen on the x-axis, so here we're using text as opposed to using text. Matplotlib could handle this for us directly, but we're using text, so we sort of have to use a bit of a sledgehammer to make this work for us. Let me go back to Visual Studio Code. And also let me exit here. So can I have some ideas for how we can fix it? And what I'm saying to you is that there's no trivial fix because we're using text. So we have to add some code to accomplish the fix. Let me do a copy. Copy and paste. And I'll call this 1.5. Okay. Does anybody have any ideas how we can deal with this? Our problem is we just have too much text.
Would formatting it in like the 538 format work, or would you need to add more code on top of that?
Yeah, we could try the 538 style, but I don't think. I mean, the text is still the text, and I think it's just going to become a problem no matter what style we use. So how about this? If we have the text is big and it's so close together, it's just making a big dark mess. Why don't we first try reducing the size of the font? So my thinking is that if the font size is smaller, that might give us enough room between the lines to be able to see what's what. So let's see, we've got, if you go here, let's just try this. Font size equals, let's say 8. And it makes sense. I think it makes sense to put it here, try it, because rotation is here. So I'm taking a guess that font size is also here. So let's try that. And let's make the window bigger. And if there is any benefit, I don't know. I can't see it. Just by it for a test, let's do a font size of 1, which probably is not going to be our long-term solution, but it is maybe worth it to do a test. Yeah, I don't think that's working. So font size didn't do it for us there. X-axis, the dates. All right. So our other choice is to reduce the amount of text. If we can't succeed by making all the text smaller, what if we reduce the amount of text? So we'll keep the data the same, but we'll decrease the number of dates we keep track of. So how about we keep track of every 12th date, because these are months. So we'll get the same month year after year. Can anybody help me with that idea? The idea is that instead of putting in every date, we'll put in every 12th date.
Maybe something in after 0 could be like a comma with a 12, something along those lines, maybe to indicate that you need to skip 12.
Okay, all right. Well, the idea of skipping 12 is the right idea. So why don't we start up here by saying dates to skip equals 12. And then I'm hoping that we can keep track of the number of dates that we've added. And then we add only every 12th. So for instance, if we keep track of here, one more. So we start out having added 0 prices. And then for every 12 prices we add, we'll add 1 date. So we need to prices added plus equals 1. So every time we add a price, we add add 1 to the prices added. And now, how about this? If prices added mod dates to skip equals 0, then and only then add a date. All right, let's see if this works. The short answer is this is going to crash. Huh? Oh, I just figured out why we got no change last time is I was running the wrong program. Does that ever happen to you? Okay, so this one will crash. Let's see, 1-5. Okay, so there's my crash. And what the reason for the crash is there were 818 data points, but only 69 pieces of text. And there needed to be, the way I've written it so far, there needs to be the same number of text items for data points. So while we're here, I'm going to get rid of this because I was annoyed that font size didn't work. Let's try this. Font size equals 1. Let's try that one more time. Oh yeah, okay. This goes here. Okay. Well, that did change the font size. I promised you that, but there's no amount of making it smaller that's going to help. So let's zoom in here and you'll see.
It's not showing up.
So yeah, now it's just too small to read at all. And even if it was readable, they're still too close together. Okay, I'm glad I got that to work. So I am going to, what is the undo? Redo. Oh, Control Shift Z. That's what I did. No, wait. That is exactly what I typed in. All right. Okay, it's not working, so I'll do it by hand. Where were we? Okay, so I need to bring this back. I need to indent that again. I'm going to get rid of this. Well, I'll set the font size down to 8. And here's where we were, where we got the crash. So let me crash again. So where we're including the dates, here's my cursor is over where we're factoring in the dates. And it's based upon how many items are on the x-axis. So instead of getting the number of items for the x-axis from the dates, let me get it from the prices. And then this line is still good. Okay, but this time, instead of using x-axis, let me give it a different x-axis, which is based on the size of this smaller list. So how about x-axis? I'm just going to reassign it. range, length of dates this time. So this time it really should work. Should it work? Well, it got something. But that doesn't look right to me. Does it look right to you? What do you think went wrong? Oh, you can't see it because it's a different window, Python. Ah, there. Now you can see it. That doesn't look quite right. What do you think went wrong? Let me go back to the code and let's take a look at the code. And let me close down this graph. Okay. So it looks like, so here's the big change I made was right here. It looks like all the legends were shifted down to the left, or the 0. And they were all mushed down there. So it turns out that the numbers in x-axis are being used as a coordinate. So if we just manipulate the range, so where should it end? It should be the length of prices again, but this time we're going to skip by dates to skip. So now the total data range will be correct. And I'll be happy to print out, let's just try this, see if it works. Aha. Now it's covering the full range. So that did work. Let's take a look at the dates themselves. And it's January 1, January 1, January 1. You can't see it because it's a different screen. All right, I give up. I'm gonna just show my whole desktop, which is not great for privacy, but okay. So now you can see the window, the graph? Okay. So January 1 to January 1, and that's makes sense because we're skipping 12 months, every 12th month. Okay. Now, this doesn't look very good to me. The angle that we put it at, we no longer need. So how about we change it from a 45 to a 90? And that makes a lot more sense now visually, doesn't it? Let's zoom in. So now the text is immediately below the tick mark that it corresponds to. Okay, that's good. But let's go back to what my thinking was. And I'm going to just add some extra code. Bad x-axis is what I originally had. Range, length, prices. And then I'm going to print bad x-axis. And I'm also going to print the good x-axis. And let's compare them. And then you'll see why one works and the other doesn't. Okay, that's not what I intended. Thank you, Python. Let's see. I'll fix that by making it formally into a list. Okay. And that might even work here too. Okay, good. All right, let's exit that. And here is the, okay. This needs to be dates. And run it. This time it's going to be golden. Okay, so here's that first list. That was the first way I tried to figure out the X coordinate for the text. And notice it starts at 0 and it goes up to 60 something. Zoom is covering the screen, 68. And that's why all the text got shoved to the left. Now compare that with the second list, which has 0, 12, 24, 36. So this is what's correcting for the position of the text. Anybody have any questions about that? All right, so I'm just going to get rid of the bad x-axis. All right, so let's take a look at our, let's get rid of that printout too, don't need it. Let's take a look at the output. What else would you like to add to this? Perhaps, whoops, I lost it. There, you can see this, right? The graph. How about a title for the graph? Does anybody remember how to do that?
Would that
Okay,
be above the show? It'd be plt.title.
oh, why above the show?
Because if you don't put it above the show, then it might not. It's going to be trying to display it after it's been put on, I think.
Exactly, right, right. I was gonna try and fool everybody, trick everybody by putting it after, and it wasn't gonna work. But you were too smart for me. Okay, so gold prices by date. Let's try that. Ah, there it is. Very nice. Good. So how about a legend for the y-axis and for the x-axis? How we do that? Does it go here? This one seems promising. And how about this? Put in a Y. Oh, look, there's a Y label too. Try that again. Okay, we're getting together a pretty decent graph. It turns out that you can set this font, any of these fonts you can override, any of the font sizes you can override. So for example, font size equals 99. This is going to look terrible. We're going to have to change it. Yeah, that's kind of bad. You see it down there? It's so big it went off the bottom of the graph, which we could fix, but it's just ridiculous to have a 99. So I don't know. How about 12? And okay, so you can see that price is a little bit smaller than date. So date is size 12. Price looks like, oh, I don't know, 8 All right. Now, one more thing that I have an idea, and then I think we'll run out of time, is notice we've got, well, tell you what, let me zoom in to that area. And what strikes me is it's actually a little bit hard for me to figure out what is the exact price related to January 1st, 1973. So what I would like to do is to put a mark there, and then a mark perfectly over, like, is it this one? Is the, oops. You get what I'm saying? Is I'm having a hard time figuring out what the exact price is because it's far away. And as we get further down the graph here, it gets even further away from the price gets further away. So I'm thinking what I'd like to do is to put a tick mark, not a tick mark, but an actual symbol only over the text, where the text is. So we can, it turns out that you can have any number of plots on the same graph. So if you call plot more than once for the same show, you'll have more than one plot on the same graph. So what I'm gonna do is make up a new, well, how about this? I'm gonna have another okay, so for the X coordinate in the X axis, I missed the word in. So that's the one that's going to skip 0 to 12 to 24, etc. I'm going to do a plt dot plot of X, and let's go get the prices corresponding to that. And we can also set the symbol. So I'm going to use red circles. So this is giving me the color, and this is giving me the symbol. So let's try that. Okay, well, that's doing what I want, but I think those circles are just too big. So let's try, I'm just going to take a guess here. If a circle, if the letter O is a big circle, how about a period? I bet that that will produce a smaller circle. And there you go. It turns out that there are a lot of built-in symbols. For example, you might, oh, let's try a plus sign, see what happens. And, oh, I like that even better. Now, all of this information is available, of course, on the matplotlib website. And you have to get into the practice of searching, perhaps Googling, for whatever it is that you need at a particular time. Let me stop the share and do a Google. Okay. I'll show you a sample Google of finding out something about matplotlib. Where is Safari? There it is. Okay, so I always start with matplotlib space set Text angle. Let's see if we can find that rotation. Ah, okay. Default text rotation. So here I can figure out that, got it. It's going to be the keyword rotation is what I want. Okay, or how about, let's say, matplotlib. I am just not spelled plotlib space, and then symbols and colors. And that directly leads me to, so you see how you can, if I always start with matplotlib space and then what I'm looking for, and that will always gets me where a good search. So here are some built-in colors. You can also use RGB expressed in hexadecimal or expressed in a range of 0 to 1. So here are the built-in letters. There are, now where are the symbols? Oh, look, and here's a handy dandy guide for translating the hexadecimal into colors. And so what about symbols? And Zoom is covering up everything. I can't see what I'm looking at. So how about get rid of colors and let's just do symbols. And that was easy. So matplotlib is amazingly sophisticated and it is easy to find the answers to what you're looking for. So we'll just try one more. We could do upward facing triangles, leftward facing triangles. Okay. Oh, and then these weirdo things. Never saw those before. 1, 2, 3 for little thingamajiggies. I don't even know what you call those. Okay, so any questions? I will put this new code online. Does anybody have any questions? Ow. What a persistent puppy. Another persistent puppy. Okay, this is the monkey man. See, he's got those little bright lines around his eyes. So we call him the monkey man for some reason. My wife does. But anyway, anybody have any questions?
Nothing at the moment.
Ow. Ow. That hurt. That actually drew blood. Wasn't the dog's fault. Their canine tooth and my hand tried to occupy the same space at the same time, and ouch. Okay, if there are no questions, I will look forward to seeing you on Friday. I appreciate you being here today, and I look forward to seeing you again on Friday. And do think of some more ideas for things to add to the graph. We'll see if we can't figure out how to, that really hurt. Things to add to the graph. And also maybe, can you think about what kind of data set you can use from your major? And we'll think of a graph that could represent it. Like maybe you work with a chemistry machine that produces some data. Okay. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you,
Have a good day.
Professor.
Have a good day, sir.
You too.
Thank you.